some of the technology, but not a whole lot. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really nice. The building is even bigger and more space to meet with clients. It's been really nice. Yeah. I know, right? It's really, really nice. Yeah. How are you? Yeah, it's nice that they're doing the tours today for everyone coming. That's really nice. I would see her in a few months. I miss her. So I'll see her today. Yeah. Is she enjoying her, I guess, quasi-retirement?
It's a tough transition.
Yeah.
After working so many years. It's really She's getting Hi. Get there.
Your teeth look great, by the way. I would tell you if there was something in it. Yeah, I would. That would be so good. Go to Coughlin. Yeah, I can see you. He's on a tour, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't been on this tour.
You got your own
before. Yeah, I did. Robin gave me a tour. I don't know why she did that, but I loved it. Yeah.
I know, I keep getting in the way.
Color guard. Hello, Tim. Who? Forward, march.
I did actually a Bill Parrish at one of our law day lunches with John Harris was CEO for. She fit and Bill's like, you should come sit with us. So yes, I have a pleasure. Yeah, she's wonderful. Next week.
Yeah. I saw her here today.
Yeah.
She's still here.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Testing. Testing.
I don't want to.
Testing.
Color guard.
see you.
Yes, how are you? He's got some health issues. You gotta watch him. That's all part of it. Nice to see you. Uncle Bernie.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing. Testing, 1, 2. bad you couldn't join us. You're on call.
Right. I got my iPad, I got my phone. How's everything going?
You been here yet? You want a tour after, or you gotta go back? If you want, you can see me around the way to go there.
Oh, no, I have it. 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, but if you want to go to that, or you can do that one.
Oh, would you do that? I was just going to give you the one.
I can give you a quick one. For you.
How you doing? Yeah, I was telling her I saw it.
Like the Fresh Prince?
Yep, that's it. That's the college stuff.
Oh, yeah. How's it going? Good to see you too. Okay. Awesome.
What are you guys wearing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm actually from the Bay Area.
Yeah, he's done. And that was a pickup last night. Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
How's it going? Good. Good to see you. How are things? Good. Sure. How you doing? Okay.
What I did for him is I parked my car right as he was slot earlier, and I had the PIO dump me off in the basement, come in the back door,
Rebecca.
and then I'm going to go back to the way and back to my car when I'm there. Right. When we first went up there, Richmond's having a cow. He's like, we're in a space. I said, we got it covered. He's just dropping me off. It's really great. Thanks. I appreciate that. We'll make it.
We have all of our Class A
And Sonia's got the bear flag on right. And you'll have a Judge McNabb, sir?
Well, she said all right. You don't know there's yeah, 25
Yes, I do. before you want to go to Iron Summit. Maybe
So it actually should be easier having it in person than not going to the phone.
I know.
I was going to tell you they're coming. She's ready to let you stuff tonight, so I'll know more after today. I'm trying to find it out. So yeah, I will. I'll let you know. I know it's going to be
Am I on the video now?
You are now.
Hello?
About a 30-second delay.
Oh, my daughter texted me and she said I don't see you.
Oh, wow, she's watching us today. I got it.
started with our ceremony this afternoon.
By the way, I'm 183 days from retirement. My last day is March 30th. And Todd Turner's going to take over the financial crimes. And they don't know who's going to do SVP. No one is willing to volunteer. Yeah, I'm going to get a real job and make some real money. Actually, Steve, if you need a lawyer, let me know.
Good afternoon, everyone. We've got quite a few seats that are empty, so if we could have folks begin to take their seats, really appreciate it. We would like to get started. I see folks standing up in the back. Feel free to come and take a seat. afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this very special event celebrating the dedication of our new Stockton Courthouse. My name is Rosa Junquero and I am the Court Executive Officer for the Superior Court of California, County of San Joaquin. We are thrilled to be here today and excited that you are all here with us to mark the beginning of a new era for our court, our community, and the citizens of San Joaquin County. As you can see, we have many invited guests here with us in the atrium, and we have many more of our staff who are viewing this ceremony from our jury assembly room via live stream. Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors by the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office Color Guard, led by Sergeant Rudy Lovato.
Left face. Pose. Present arms. Order arms. Elbow, fix. Forward, march.
Thank you, Sergeant Lovato and Color Guard members. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by the Honorable Linda L. Loftus, Assistant Presiding Judge of our court. Thank you, Judge Loftus. You may now be seated. I'd like to now introduce the Honorable Jose L. Alva, presiding judge of our court. Judge Alva has been our presiding judge since January 1, 2016, and will finish his term on December 31st, 2017. Prior to being our presiding judge, he served as our assistant presiding judge for 2 years. Judge Alva was first appointed to the bench in 2006 and was assigned to our Manteca branch court. He subsequently accepted an assignment to the Stockton Court, where he has presided over juvenile dependency cases. Prior to being a judge, Judge Alba served as a member of the San Joaquin County Board of Supervisors. Please welcome Judge Alba.
Good afternoon and welcome. And I get the wonderful task that sometimes it becomes very difficult already starting with the microphone. Okay. Sometimes it becomes very difficult because you hope you never forget anyone that you should be introducing. And so what I did is I made a decision as presiding judge that I would go ahead and introduce the elected officials. We have a lot of others that are appointed that do many other good work, but I'm just going to go ahead and proceed with the elected officials. Starting off, representing Congressman Jerry McGurney, his district director, and also my daughter, Alisa Alba Campos. Please stand up so you can see you. We have with us this afternoon a former member of the Stockton City Council and a champion of our district, Assembly Member Susan Eggman. Please stand. Representing Senator Kathleen Galgiani, we have Senior Field Representative Marion Norris. San Joaquin County Supervisor Bob Elliott, representing the 5th District. And County Supervisor, who represents the same district that I did when I was on the Board of Supervisors, District 3, Supervisor Tom Patty. San Joaquin County District Attorney and first female District Attorney, Tori Verber Salazar. This next person I've been sending a check to for years, San Joaquin County Treasurer Tax Collector Shabir Khan. And the one who has been very supportive of the court, works with us all the time, is bound by statute to support the court, but more than that, it's his ability and willingness to help us, Judge Steve Moore. I mean, see, I elevated him to judge. Sheriff Steve Moore. Don't forget that in the next meeting we have. Okay? Someone who looks out especially for the kids that I have dealt with in dependency court, and is tremendous in assisting children in foster care, San Joaquin County Superintendent James Musalimas. One of the individuals that keeps an eye on not only what we spend many times, but what Supervisor Elliott and Supervisor Patty spend is the Auditor Controller Jay Wilbury. From the city of Stockton, the mayor here, Michael Tubbs. He was coming. Maybe he'll show up. Vice Mayor is here, though. I've known him for years. He used to be with the Sheriff's Office and then District Attorney's Office, and now he's keeping an eye on the city of Stockton, Albert Holman. Council Member, City of Stockton, Jesus Andrade. And Council Member Dan Wright. City of Manteca, we have Council Member Gary Singh. Sheriff Moore, now I'm going to start with the judges. From the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, the United States Federal Court, the Honorable Judge Consuelo Callahan. From the court that keeps an eye on us, the Third District Court of Appeals, we have Presiding Justice Vance Ray, Justice Harry Hall, whom I'll introduce a little more later, sitting behind me. Justice Louis Morrow, who I had the opportunity to be part of a Futures Commission from the Third District Court of Appeals. A former colleague and also former presiding judge of the San Joaquin County Superior Court, now a Justice William Murray. Also we have with us Justice Jonathan Renner. And also from the Third District Court of Appeal, Justice Ronald B. Roby. Visiting us from other counties, we have the presiding judge of Tehama County Superior Court and also the president of the California Judges Association, Todd Botke. Presiding judge-elect from our neighboring county up north, Sacramento, David De Alba. Judge of Glenn County Superior Court, and also presiding judge of the Judicial Council's Courts Facilities Committee, Donald Colbert. Neighboring county to the east, and former San Joaquin County Deputy District Attorney, Judge Tim Healy. And another deputy DA that ended up leaving us, and she's here from south of our county, from Stanislaus County, Judge Valley Israels. From our county, San Joaquin County, we start off with Judge George Abdallah. Judge Tony Abiani. Judge Robin Apple. Our newest member of the bench, Judge Gus Barrera. A judge who for many years was in the Tracy Court when we had that open, Judge James Cadle. And a judge that I'm so pleased is here this afternoon, Judge Ann Sharman. Judge Michael Coughlin, our presiding judge of the Juvenile Court. Judge Christine Eagle, who took an assignment while she was vacationing in Cuba. I didn't know she was there. And the proponent of the Table of Truth at Yasuyani's, Judge Bernard Garber. He'll be speaking momentarily, Judge Richard Giuliani. The person who helped me out as an assistant presiding judge so I could become presiding judge, Judge Leslie Holland. person who, as an attorney, I not only went before as an attorney, but I went before him as a planning, when he was a planning commissioner, Judge Carter Holland. He drives by my house but hasn't stopped. Judge Seth Hoyt, who lives in Ione. Judge Elizabeth Humphreys, whom I know for just a couple of years. Person who wants to compete with hats, Judge William Johnson. And this individual administered the oath of office to me 3 different times on 3 different occasions. Twice for a member of the Board of Supervisors, and once when I first took the oath as a judge, Judge Frank Kim. A lady who I absolutely have no idea where she gets all her energy and does everything, Judge Barbara Cromwell. She led you in the Pledge of Allegiance, and she's been a tremendous support to me, Judge Linda Loftus. Judge Richard Mallett takes on those real tough cases. And his family has a cabin in the same place my father-in-law does. And we are all extremely happy to see Judge Rolene McElrath join us. Judge Bob McNatt, whom you'll hear from momentarily. If you need a little laugh, he's the one that can provide it. A judge who's been helping out both Judge Lucaccini and myself in dependency, Judge Michael Mulvihill. One of our commissioners who handles one of the real easy tasks of letting someone know how much they need to pay for their kids, Commissioner Cheryl McCann. At the time that I was hoping to hear that I was appointed to the bench, this person that I'm going to mention happened to be a partner in the law firm where I was renting space. So I said to him, wouldn't it be nice if both the landlord and the tenant got appointed to the bench? And guess what? We did. Judge Ron Northrup. A woman who I didn't realize was paying that close attention as to how our collaborative courts were working said to me, you have to do this and that. I think it's going to work. Judge Charlotte Orcutt. Another member of our infamous Table of Truth at Yasu Yanis, Judge Roger Ross. Our newest commissioner, John Soldati. She was at one time associated with the city of Stockton's legal department, and instead of filing petitions, she decided to hear them. Judge Lauren Thomason. Once a year, we all have to do a little task with the federal government. It comes around April 15th, somewhere thereabouts. Sometimes the 18th, sometimes the 15th. And I took a class from this gentleman, Phil Urey, who taught taxation. In 2018, the court will have a new assistant presiding judge. And when that happens, this court's going to be led by women. Judge Shapuri Villapudua. This individual has worked tirelessly. In fact, they even called him a social worker. But he has really worked very hard for our collaborative courts, and they are an example, statewide, in fact, nationwide. Judge Rick Flavianos. And when I told him, ich sprechen Sie Deutsch ein bisschen, he said, hey, I think you're all right. That's a little German. Judge David Warner. I hope I didn't miss anyone. If I did, my apologies. But welcome to all of you. Thank you. It's one of the things that happens when you don't practice in advance. You remember when things are supposed to be getting ready and you don't do them all? Well, I was just expected to be called on, but I'm not supposed to do that. What I have an honor of introducing kind of like our keynote guest speaker. He is a justice with the 3rd District Court of Appeals. He's representing the Chief of the Supreme Court. Justice Harry Hull, Jr. was first appointed to the Sacramento Court in 1995. And in 1998, he took the bench on the 3rd District Court of Appeals. That's only, a little bit over 2 years, maybe not even the 3 years. That says a lot about this individual. He's been a member of the Judicial Council of California and serves in various committees. He's been a teacher, a lecturer through Sacramento's Barrister Club, American River College, and he's authored and written various legal articles. But one of the things that you would not normally think of a judge is the extent, especially an appellate court judge, the extent that he's been supportive of youth and youth activities. He's participated as a judge in University of California at Davis Moot Court, also high school moot court, and he's been on the board of directors of both Greenhaven Youth Soccer Club and Sacramento Youth Soccer League. And one of those had like 1,300 kids in that program. So, without any further ado, I'd like to present to you Justice Harry Hull, Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Judge Alva. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. As Judge Alva noted a moment ago, I have the honor this afternoon of speaking to you on behalf of Chief Justice Tani Cantil Sakaue and the Judicial Council of California. The Chief Justice regrets that she could not join us today, but she does send her warmest congratulations on your new courthouse. Well, today's the day. A long-awaited day, the dedication day. I have been following this courthouse, not really from afar, because I live and work in Sacramento, but as part of as a member of the Judicial Council, and also by virtue of having as a colleague and friend on my court, Justice Bill Murray, former presiding judge of your court, who has generally kept me apprised of what has been occurring. San Joaquin County has long needed a new courthouse. I can attest to that personally. When I was in private practice in Sacramento, I tried at least 2 or 3 civil cases here, there, And while I was always well treated by court staff and of course the judges, the building was, shall we say, as we all know, something of a trial in and of itself. And this was in the 1980s and the 1990s. The new courthouse project has occasionally been a challenge, which we know, but that is all history now. Congratulations to your court, your justice partners, your community, and all who were involved in making this new courthouse a reality. As you can tell, for very many reasons, I am not Chief Justice Cantil Sakaui, because she does this without notes, and I don't have that facility, so you'll forgive me. Excuse me. When the Chief Justice or one of us from the Judicial Council has the pleasure of speaking at courthouse dedications, we think that it is important to remind the members of the community that new courthouses in California are not built and paid for by taxpayer funds, but are instead funded by a portion of the fees that are charged to those who use the court's so-called SB 1407 fees. And as we celebrate the opening of this courthouse today, earned through the hard work and perseverance of so many, I would be remiss if I did not note that new courthouses and courthouse modifications are sorely needed in many of California's 58 counties. In many of our communities, the courthouses are old, they're run down, they're crowded, and in too many cases, they're literally unsafe. And I suggest to you that this cannot be acceptable. A community courthouse is not only a place where judges and court staff work, but a place where district attorneys and public defenders and private lawyers and probation officers and other justice partners also work every day. A place where, when summoned to jury service or subpoenaed as witnesses at trial, the community's citizens are required to appear in their local courthouses. They all deserve at the very least, a safe place to do their work when they answer their call to service. The people of California deserve safe and efficient court facilities if they are in fact going to have true access to justice. Sadly, the judicial branch currently is struggling to find funding to build and upgrade courthouses. That is because since the passage of Senate Bill 1407, which I mentioned, which funds courthouse construction, and the collection of the funds it generates, which funds were intended to pay for courthouse construction, more than $1.4 billion of 1407 funds have been transferred to the state's general fund by the legislature for other uses or redirected to other uses other than courthouse construction. This largely a function of the so-called general recession that we are still working our way out of. Unfortunately, no new funding was provided by the legislature in either fiscal year 2016-17 or 2017-18. There are no reserve funds left. Courthouse construction in California has come to a standstill. Even so, I can assure those communities that need new court facilities so badly, and there are representatives of many of those communities here today, I see some of them, that the Chief Justice and the judicial branch will continue to advocate for adequate funding for new courthouse construction to ensure the public has safe, secure, and efficient courthouse facilities. But today is not a day to dwell on difficulties, but it is a day to celebrate this success. A courthouse such as the one we dedicate today lies at the heart of the civilized community. When you think about it, whether in Quincy, California, Quincy, Illinois, Quincy, Massachusetts, or all of the towns in between, the courthouse was one of the first public buildings, structures to be built often at or near the center of the community. I don't think that was a coincidence or a mere happenstance, but was instead a recognition that every community in our country depended, if it was to survive and to prosper, on the laws and democratic principles necessary to a civilized society. Each community recognized that it required early on a place where those who lived in the community could go to peacefully settle civil disputes, a place to put on trial those in the community who did not conform to the community's criminal laws, a place to preserve rights in real estate and other personal property, a place to settle personal estates, and much, much more if that community was to preserve and to advance a nation of laws and democracy. We are gathered within this wonderful new courthouse, and we dedicate such a place today here in Stockton, California. And so again, I congratulate you all. I'm confident this building will be a place where justice will reside for many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice Hull. Our next series of speakers have all held the position of Assistant Presiding Judge, then Presiding Judge, with each position lasting 2-year terms each. Along with the position of Presiding Judge, each of these judges has held the distinction of having some role in this new courthouse. Yes, this project has indeed lasted from beginning to end approximately 14 years. As the court executive officer, it is my duty to work closely with each presiding judge, manage the day-to-day operations of our court. I can honestly say that I have been fortunate to have the right PJ, presiding judge, at the right time. The first in our lineup is the Honorable Bob McNatt. Judge McNatt was appointed to the bench in 1995 and retired in 2015. He now serves as a judge sitting on assignment throughout California. Please welcome Judge McNatt.
Good afternoon, and it's nice to see so many old familiar faces here who were involved in my legal career over the past 40 years or so. It's good to see you again. In 2004-2005, during my term as presiding judge, it was already clear that San Joaquin County was in desperate need of a new courthouse. During that time, I started conversing with some representatives of the Judicial Council, working with Kim Davis to kick the idea around and see what was possible. The old facility over there had myriad problems. There was seldom a month went by that the air conditioning or the heating didn't go out. The elevators regularly stopped working, sometimes with people inside them, who were most unhappy when they were freed half an hour or 45 minutes later. The roof and walls leaked badly, and as a result, the popcorn ceiling that was installed in the 1960s, you know those kind that are largely asbestos, had a tendency to fall from the ceiling and land on the floor with a splat in the public areas. This did not make many people happy. But most serious of the defects were those involving public safety and security for the criminal defendants that were going back and forth in there. They were moved up and down the main hallways in those days. Walked right down the hallway, passing the witnesses, in some cases the victims, or the family of either side. There were multiple incidents of defendants escaping by running from the courtroom and jumping over one of the balconies that you can still see over there. In short, the building was entirely unsatisfactory. The design of that building did not foresee the post-9/11 security concerns that we have to deal with today. But in over a decade, the planning and the construction of the new facility that you're now in was a process that was alternatively excruciating and exhilarating. It was a series of starts and stops and modifications and replannings. And at that time, I clearly remember thinking to myself, San Joaquin County is going to get a new courthouse when pigs fly. Hence, the choice of my tie today. This is a souvenir from the 1977 Pink Floyd tour titled When Pigs Fly. But at the end of the day, I cannot tell you how glad I am that San Joaquin County and the people who live here finally have a new and adequate house of justice. And it's because of a lot of people here today. And you weren't identified individually, but thank you too.
Thank you, Judge McNatt. Next, I'd like to present the Honorable Richard J. Giuliani. Judge Giuliani was appointed in 1997 and continues to preside over criminal calendar today. Please welcome Judge Giuliani.
Good afternoon. I served as presiding judge of this court for 822 days. I was an active duty Marine for 730 days. Those two periods of my life are periods of which I'm probably more proud of than any other. They're also periods that I wanted over. When you're presiding judge, every problem the court has is your problem. Every phone call seems to be bad news. I used to get to work at usually 7 o'clock in the morning, and the little diamond on my phone would always be lit up, and it usually was Sharon Morse. I don't know if she's here, I haven't seen her. And the message was usually the same: you have a problem, call me. So whenever the phone rang, it was almost always bad news. And so, surprisingly, one day I was in Rosa's office to check to see how we were doing, and the phone rang, and it was the AOC. Well, that couldn't be good news, but it was Bob Emerson. I don't think he's here today. In those days, he was a relatively young man. He's probably retired now. But in any event, he said, "Sit down, I've got some good news for you. We're going to build you a new courthouse." We were naturally overjoyed. We thought we'd have to get going on this. We'd have it up and going in 5 or 6 years. Of course, we hadn't hired architects. We certainly hadn't met the fire marshal yet. We had a lot of work to do. We went around town with the representatives from the city council or from the city of Stockton. They showed us sites. We started getting our ducks in a row, and we ended up with this. It's been a long time. It's been worth it. There's an awful lot of people, as Bob mentioned, who are responsible for this, some more than others. And I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to try and stay within that. But I think before anybody else has a chance to do this, of all the people that worked on this, there's one that I think needs to be singled out more than any other. She did this work and was head of our committee for more than anybody else was. She suffered more fools than anybody, solved more problems, put in more hours, and is more responsible for this place than anyone else, and that's Robin Apple. I want to Justice Murray's turn.
Thank you, Judge Giuliani. Now I'd like to present the Honorable William J. Murray, Jr. Justice Murray was appointed to the bench in 1995 and in 2010 was appointed as an Associate Justice to the 3rd District Court of Appeals. Please welcome Justice Murray.
So it's good to be back, folks. Nice to see you all. I miss you all. Before I start on my 2-minute, which might end up being 3.5-minute talk, Judge Allen, I want to, I figured you factored that in. You really factored in 5 minutes, didn't you? I want to extend my thanks to my colleagues from the 3rd District Court of Appeal for coming today. Thank you very much, folks, for being here. Judge Elena Duarte, another one of our associates, she wanted to be here as well. She texted me this morning indicating that she's got a virus and is homesick, but she sends her congratulations as well. So, I actually got started working on this before I was elected to be PJ. I was on the Judicial Council for a period of time, and I was also on a body called the California Bench Bar Coalition. And so I started on this working on getting the financing freed up. It's actually, our project is actually a SB 1732 project, and it was one of 11 or so, I think 12, 13. I only really cared about one. They got the early funding, and that process started with work on the Judicial Council and a great deal of lobbying. I think I saw Ann Beard here earlier. Ann is here, and is Mike Machado here? No? So probably didn't want to see me anymore. Because every time I saw him, and many times it wasn't by accident that I ran into him, I was putting a bug in his ear about the need for court facilities around California, and particularly his constituents in this county. Mike at the time was the chair of the Senate Budget Subcommittee that had control over the court's budgets. And Mike was really instrumental in getting that money freed up for our project and 12 other projects around the state. Then I became PJ and we went to the design phase of this project. Learned the value from our architects from the NBBJ of designing a courthouse from the inside out. We had the good fortune to be allowed to go do some tours in California as well as in Nevada and Washington. We got a chance to see facilities, especially high-rise facilities in some of those jurisdictions, and brought back some really good ideas from those visits. Over here to the right is one of them, as a matter of fact. I don't think you're going to see a traffic counter in the lobby outside the weapons screening anywhere in California. That was one of the things that we picked up. The other thing that I think all of us are really proud of is our jury assembly room, which we saw that in one of NBBJ's projects in Seattle, up in a higher level, and decided we were going to do that here, and it's turned out to be really tremendous. So I'm happy for our staff that's here, my former colleagues. You finally got into this building. But I'm mostly happy for the citizens of San Joaquin County. And that's because I've had a chance to talk to a lot of them. We did, in 1999, as part of our overall strategic planning for the court here, we did 13 focus groups with 12 different constituent groups in our community. And we repeated that process again in 2006 and 2007, expanding the process to, what was it, Steph? 26 different focus groups and 25, I think, different constituent groups, almost 400 people that we got a chance to talk to. And they gave us a lot of good ideas about our local justice system and what we could do, but one thing that was universal was we need better court facilities in this county. And so that's where we really focused our time and our efforts. We heard from people who did jury service, and words used to describe the former jury room. Some of you folks have appeared for jury service in that assembly room. Dungeon, torture chamber, airless, lightless. They complained about the deliberation rooms that were all closed in, no windows. I think if you've had a chance to take a tour, you've seen that we improved on those spaces in this building. And so now, if you're summoned for jury service in San Joaquin County, you're going to get to be in a room that has the best view in the county, maybe one of the best views in the entire valley. If you're doing jury service, you've been selected and you're deliberating, you're going to get to do that in a room that's light and airy, lots of natural light filtering in. I could talk more and more about what we experience. Some of it is more like commiserating during the heartburn process. I've only been given 2 minutes, which I'm told is now actually 5 minutes, but I'm going to wrap it up and say this. It's really just been an honor, maybe the honor of my life, to represent. I was pretty sure I was going to get through this without getting emotional, but maybe not. It's been a real honor to represent you folks in San Joaquin County. And we put a lot of effort into this. And finally got it. And to you folks out there who told me you're never going to build a new courthouse, guess you were wrong. Enjoy your new courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Murray. I got a tear in my eye now. Next, I'd like to present the Honorable David P. Warner. Judge Warner was appointed to the bench in 1998 and has primarily served our court in our Lodi Branch Court, presiding over criminal cases. Please welcome Judge Warner.
Good afternoon. I was asked to say a few words today, and in trying to think of what I would talk about, I was thinking about the building itself, what it looks like now, and the process that we went through that you've heard a little bit about so far. The first thought that came to my mind was I should sing the national anthem. It seemed like with the struggle that we've gone through to get this building to fruition, that song seemed appropriate for where we're now at. You don't need to leave. I'm not going to sing the national anthem. I wouldn't want to put you through that, not because of the song, but you wouldn't want to hear me sing it. So I decided to just tell you a couple things that happened during the time while I was presiding judge, which was 2012, 2013. The planning for the courthouse, as you've heard, started long, long ago. When I was elected to be assistant presiding judge, I was told that, by the way, when you become presiding judge, we're going to dedicate the building at that time. That's 2012, 2013. In 2013, we not only didn't dedicate the building, we hadn't broken ground yet. In a project of this magnitude, you expect to encounter problems and delays along the road, but there were times when it seemed like that's all we encountered was delays and problems. Some of them big, some of them small, but problems nonetheless. And just when we would think we've covered every problem that could possibly occur on a particular site and with a particular building, another one would crop up. During 2012, 2013, we did value engineering, bringing the architects in to go through how we could cut costs and save some money in the project. Because the state budget was on a slide, we were then required by the Judicial Council, thank you very much, to go through cost reduction subcommittee where more money was taken out of the project. And if that wasn't enough, during my term, the state decided to change the building code. And we got to redo some of the parts of the building to comply with the current code. We went to many meetings, both with the Judicial Council and with the state, the Department of Finance, the State Board of Public Works, to keep the project together. And when I tell you that it always wasn't a sure thing that this project was going to stay together, that's a true statement. We didn't know whether we would be able to hold it together and keep the funds together to see it through to this point. During those years, the project makes me think of a story that we used to read to our children and read to our grandchildren. The name of the story is The Little Engine That Could. As a locomotive, if you remember the story, chugs up the hill, it keeps saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, but not quite sure if it could get to the top of the hill. That should become the motto for our courthouse. In our facility meetings, Judge Apple used to lead us early in the meeting saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I just made that up. But we were thinking that, not sure if we could make it to the top. For those 2 years that I was presiding judge, we just kept chugging up that hill and kept saying to ourselves, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And it is funny that once you get to the top of the hill and the building's done, we look back and say, I knew I could do that.
Thank you, Judge Warner. Next, I'd like to present the Honorable Leslie D. Holland. Judge Holland was appointed to the bench in 1997 and has presided over juvenile dependency, civil, and now probate matters. Please welcome Judge Holland.
Okay, can you all hear me? This microphone's a little lower than I like it, but we'll get through it. Thank you, Rosa, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Les Holland, as you heard, and it was my privilege to serve as presiding judge of this court in 2014 and 2015. And that is when the big dig finally got started in May of 2014. I was also allowed to say a few words at the groundbreaking in May 2014. My other responsibility for the facility was to stay out of Judge Apple's way. I was glad to do it. May 2014 is when we broke ground, and that seems like an awful long time ago. And that was a very happy and exciting occasion for us all. And looking back, you know, we knew that the old courthouse was, well, it was old. It was worn, it was crowded, it was crazy in there with all the people. And it wasn't very functional. You had to work very hard to make it functional. The Sheriff's Department knows better than anyone how hard you had to make it work to get a degree of functionality. But we didn't truly understand just how worn down, crowded, crazy, and dysfunctional that old building was until we moved out. Wow, what a difference. Am I right? Okay. I think all of us in the court are amazed, and amazed and delighted is the right way to say it, is how pleasant and functional it is to come to work in this beautiful new building. We had no idea that it could be this much fun. You know, your court has been through an awful lot over the last few years. You know, we had, as you know, we had one of our judges was attacked on the bench in open court. Now we have a much more secure and safe facility. We had attorneys attacked regularly, not only in the building, but around the building. Again, we can't do much about out the building, but it's a much more safe and secure facility for everyone who comes here. And we had severe budget cuts along the way that impacted services and our employees. Now we have a rational funding methodology that provides a degree of stability and allowed us to restore some services and bring back our employees. Technology probably the biggest change and certainly the most disruptive. We went from a cluster of 6 to 7 different computer systems that did not talk to each other, that were ancient by tech standards today, that were becoming increasingly expensive to maintain and increasingly likely to become unsupportable in the future. And we've transitioned to a digital filing system, and it has not been easy, but it is getting better, and it sets the stage for this court to move forward. And now, the capstone is we have this tremendous building. This courthouse is clean and comfortable. It's modern. It's calmer. That's the word I'm going to come back to time and again. It is calmer, even in the hallways. It's vastly more secure and safe for everyone who comes here. Point is, your court, before your eyes, maybe you didn't notice it, we didn't always notice it, has changed dramatically over the last 8 to 10 years. And this courthouse is a big, beautiful metaphor to that change. So with this dedication, you know, it's really a situation where our court's biggest challenges are now behind us. So this dedication is not an end to it. It is an end to a chapter, but it's really just the beginning for what I think we can do in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Holland. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Robin Apple. Judge Apple served our court as our first family law commissioner from 1995 to 2003. In 2003, she was appointed to the bench and has presided over family law cases her entire career. Judge Apple has been the chair of our Court Facilities Committee since 2010. She has been our leader in the remodeling of all court facilities in our county, and once this project is complete, there is one more to do. She has tirelessly led our court through this project, through all the ups and downs, the disappointments, and the small victories, appearances at the State Public Works Board, Courthouse Cost Reduction Subcommittee, meetings with the Department of Finance, Judicial Council Capital Project staff, architects, contractors, furniture vendors, and many, many more. She has spent countless hours during and after regular business hours on this project. Please welcome Judge Apple.
So everyone up here had a time limit except for me, so get comfortable. The past 10 years have been incredibly frustrating, but on opening day, that all went away. Actually 14 years. We're here, we're getting through the challenges, and we have a courthouse the entire community can be proud of. For example, all state buildings are required to have a green building certification of at least silver. LEED certification is based on design, construction, operations, and maintenance of the building. We're really proud to have applied for and expect to receive, and we just learned this week, LEED Gold for this building. This is a marvelous accomplishment for the entire team. A courthouse should be a place of dignity and respect. It should be a beautiful centerpiece of the community. Everyone involved in the planning and design worked hard to ensure that this court was built to provide for all of the needs of the different court users. It's not perfect, but that has more to do with lessons learned after the fact. It is safer, it is more efficient, and it hopefully evokes a sense of civic pride. In particular, our architects worked hard to ensure there are artistic features throughout the courthouse. This has been a huge battle because there's a state policy that public funds cannot be used for art. That makes sense in the abstract, but the policy has been applied so absurdly that anything that is pretty is now considered art. This is irrespective of whether that pretty thing is less or equally expensive than the not pretty thing. I've heard secondhand that a county to the north has been told that they can't use a particular finish on their new courthouse because it will appear to look too expensive, even though the finish they want to use is actually less expensive than the alternatives. Now, this just may be a bad rumor, but I wouldn't be surprised based on the experience we had in this courthouse. We had to fight for every detail that might be considered art. Of course, we have to be mindful of the use of public funds, but we also have to be mindful of the things that we are building. No one with a cinder block building will ever be able to feel it's a courthouse that has dignity or respect that a courthouse should inspire. What civilizations don't have art? If you've ever been to a former Soviet country and seen the awful, drab, depressing buildings that were built during their communist eras, they were just horrible. Terrorist groups destroy beautiful, historical national treasures. This is not who we are. We need art in our communities just like every civilized culture has had throughout history. So please, be supportive of reasonable amounts of artistic features, not just in courthouses, but in all public spaces. And now it's my honor and privilege to thank so many people that have been involved in this project. Had we finished years ago like we planned, this would be a lot shorter. And I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody because it's been so many years, and if I do, I'm sorry. Mostly my thank yous are on behalf of our court. There's a few personal ones interspersed. First, to the city of Stockton, who generously donated most of the land on which this courthouse is built. We thank you so much. You wanted the court to remain downtown, and we wanted it to be here, and it worked for both of us. Courts used to be funded through counties, and courthouses were county buildings. That's no longer the case, and we no longer have any affiliation with the county. Courthouses are state buildings. Nevertheless, we continue to be partners with the county, providing services for the people of this county. And the county has been involved in many ways in getting this new court built, and we appreciate their support. We started this project with an advisory group that included many different people from the community. They provided guidance, support, and suggestions as we began our design process. Thank you to Captain Mike Padilla from the Sheriff's Office, Pete Fox from the Public Defender's Office, now retired, Jim Willett, now retired from the District Attorney's Office, Monica Nino and Larry Ruthstaller, now retired from the county, Micah Runner from the city, and public members Doug Wilhoit and Don Geiger. For your willingness to be part of the civic project and provide invaluable input, we thank you. Our architects at NBBJ included several people who have moved to new jobs or retired, Kate Diamond and Lisa Chang and Ron Siemens. So if you email Ron Siemens, it says, I retired, don't bother me. Ron Siemens is here, and he was here yesterday with his work vest on going through the building, so I don't know what kind of retirement that's supposed to be. He retires like judges retire. We retire and then we come back the next day practically. Taylor Morgan was a latecomer to the team. Ev Ruffcorn worked with us in the early stages, and Jim Tolley has been our stalwart there from beginning to end. Thank you for all of you for designing such a wonderful building for us, and thank you to all of the others at NBBJ who we never got to meet, but we know worked so hard behind the scenes. MVBJ had us work with a space planner, Jay Farbstein, and his help was invaluable to us. So, you know, this committee changed through was added to through the years because we added PJs to the committee. Most of these guys back here never even heard of Jay Farbstein because we haven't seen him in 8 years. But he's here today and I'm happy to have him. Unless you've been involved in building a high-rise building, you have no idea how complicated it is. Our architects guided us through the process, listened to us, and created a building we really can be proud of. So many subcontractors worked on the project that I couldn't possibly name them all. At the peak of construction, there were about 350 workers on site, so you can thank me for not naming them individually, but I will thank them all on behalf of the court. We appreciate all of the hard work you did through the pouring rain, freezing cold, and searing heat. Turner Construction, our contractor, they have impressed me so much because of their emphasis on safety. They train workers and make safety a priority. At every meeting, we got a safety report, and in all of the years this building took to complete, I can't recall a single serious injury and almost no even minor incidents. To me, that's more important than all of the other work they did, but they did a lot, and I want to thank them. In particular, I want to thank Steve Schultz, Frank Dezovi, and Dave Steffens, and the boots on the ground guys, Mike Reese, Tony Walters, the project superintendent, and Brian Sauer, the senior project manager for Turner. You've all worked so hard on this building, and we appreciate it. The Judicial Council, which was the AOC when we started, is the entity that provided all of the direction and support for the project. Although we are the users locally, the buildings belong to the state, and the Judicial Council is the owner. From real estate acquisition, CEQA reviews, and project management, that's all their responsibility. There have been so many people involved from the Judicial Council. Again, I can't name all of them. We appreciate everyone's help and direction, but I do need to mention a few in particular. Christine Metzger, who couldn't be here today, a policy and planning manager, worked with us earlier in the project. Lee Willoughby, who is now retired, and his ultimate successor, Mike Courtney, the directors of facility services, provided amazing support for our court, and I can't thank them enough. They were both incredible. Rona Rothenberg, now retired, and her successor on the project, Pearl Freeman, the manager of facility services and operations, advocated for the court, and I think they both were very supportive of our artistic features. Paul Menard, the quality compliance manager, is in a league of his own. He helped us through serious struggles, particularly in the past year. Thank you, Paul. The Judicial Council. The Judicial Council uses AECOM to help manage the project, and Russ Koenig, their construction manager, and Sheila Younger Watkins, the project manager, have been there every day dealing with every imaginable issue. You are patient and you are kind beyond belief. Thank you. So our first project manager from the Judicial Council was Steve Sundman, who almost made it through the whole project until he left us for greener pastures about 2 years ago. And then Ron Soper became our project manager, and he almost made it to the end until he left us for greener pastures. And now it's Pearl Freeman who's filling in till the bitter end. To all of you who are here, and you are all three here today, thank you, thank you, thank you. You've been so supportive. You've worked hard for us. We built a beautiful building and needed furniture. That seemed simple to me, but boy, it was not. Our project manager for furnishings from Judicial Council, Lisa Hinton, led us through a complicated process to select furnishings for the building within our limited budget. Dacia Easton, Stephanie Papayas, and Penny Tulima from UCF met with Rosa and I for the past 2 years to select furnishings and, importantly, to make sure everything fit. Thank you for all your guidance. When it came to the massive job of installation, that was J.P. Feldner, Ron Succi, Ryan Millard, and Hortensia Ruvavar. Thank you. And Rosa and I want to thank my colleagues who are not interested in this part of the project. They basically said, do it and don't talk to us about it. And we were so happy because we really had a lot of fun doing this part. The sheriff's operations in this building is a monumental task. Sergeant Kerry Graham has done a fantastic job as the sheriff's transitional team leader. I haven't seen Kerry, but thank you, Kerry, if you're here. Thank you even if you're not. We have a fantastic staff. They've been involved in different aspects of design and other planning. They've offered great advice and been very patient waiting to move in. Thank you all for your input, your help, and your enthusiasm. And a special shout out to our business services staff and IT staff who've worked stunning non-public service hours to get us ready to move in and to deal with all of the issues once we were in. They are truly an incredible bunch. Finally, to my colleagues and the Court Facilities Committee. We have an extremely collegial bench in San Joaquin County. My colleagues who are not on the committee offered advice and suggestions when asked, and have all been team players when it wasn't possible to give them what they wanted. The committee thanks you for that. It made our job so much easier. And on a personal note, I want to thank Judges Villapudua and Agdiani and Commissioner McCann. They have covered my court along with their own so many times through the years, giving me the time to work on this project, and then they've done it without complaining to my face about it. The Facilities Committee was small when we started. Judge Giuliani started it, but once we got really going, Justice Murray actually chaired it, and we had Stephanie Borer, who was our systems analyst at the time. Now she's head of HR, and James Floorschutz, our business services manager. Judges Bob McNatt and Richard Giuliani, Rosa, and me. And then Justice Murray was elevated, and I was PJ, so I became the chair of the committee. We were supposed to open back then, but it wasn't done, so we added Dave Warner. We thought he'd be PJ when we opened. Didn't happen, so we added Judge Holland. We thought he was going to be PJ when we opened, and that didn't happen, so we added Judge Alba. And it must be something about Judge Alba because we're here. This committee has worked so well together. Everyone worked hard on the project in addition to handling their regular workloads. Justice Murray agreed to stay involved when he went to the appellate court. The new PJs who came on later in the project never tried to change what we had already done. It's been a fantastic working group, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I have been the face of the court's, let me try that sentence again. Okay, I've often been the court's face for this project, but my partner through this all has been our CEO, Rosa Gianquero. She deserves a special thank you for her incredible work on the project. In the interests of time, I won't detail all she's done, but be assured none of this would have happened without her hard work and dedication. Lastly, I have two people that Rosa and I want to thank personally, and that's our husbands. We haven't always been fun to come home to during the tough times, but they are the best two men around. I know Rosa appreciates John's support throughout this project, so thank you, John, for being there for Rosa. And to my husband, Jim Morris, and every time we talk about him publicly, I start to cry. I don't know why that is. My husband, Jim Morris, who learned to have a glass of wine ready for me at the end of these frustrating days. Thank you so much. You've made it so much easier for both of us. And finally, I just want to say what an honor it has been for me to be able to serve as the chair of this committee, to shepherd us all through this. It's just been a chance of a lifetime. So thank you all.
Thank you, Judge Apple. Now I'd like to ask Judge Alba to come back to the podium for some more brief remarks, and we're almost done.
I only have 37 pages. No, but first of all, what I'd like to do, and I think it's really deserved, there are three, I know there's a lot more, but three individuals that come to mind that have given of themselves to this project, additional time, and did things that there isn't any way that I would be doing, picking out colors and patterns and all of it, and knobs, and I go nuts. But both Judge Apple and Rosa spent a tremendous amount of time in just dealing with the color, the shade of stain that was going to go in the benches. My wife wins all of those. I just step aside. Because that's a lot of detail that many of us really don't want to deal with, but it's something that somehow we expect to happen. And these two ladies, we have to thank for the way things look, because they look really good. And one individual that made a lot of things happen and continues to make things happen, and we look to him to continue to make things happen, James Forshoot. James, thank you very much. I just want to tell you, and in particular, Assemblymember Eggman, because of the way this court is built, Judge Flavianos is able to incorporate a lot of the things that the governor wanted and the legislature wanted as part of giving back, you might say, realignment, okay? Giving back to the counties to take care of things because they want to reduce the number of prisoners in prison. Because of the way this court has been built and the way that access is provided, it's helped Judge Flavianos and Judge Morgan, who are the two collaborative court judges that we're sending things to minimize incarceration and holding individuals accountable. It's been working to a great extent. It's not perfect, far from it, but that's been one of the attributes that has been a part of this. We've had a couple of glitches. You've probably read a couple of things, even some guy take his clothes off and run in the first day. But when you buy a brand new house, you know there's a checklist that you're going to have, and you're going to go through it, and you're going to find some things that weren't quite up to snuff. And so we're in that stage. We're in that check it out warranty stage, and hey, write it down. Well, you can still get it done for the money that you've already paid and what you expected. And that's what we are doing to ensure that the people of the state of California get their money's worth. So, some of you signed up for a tour, others of you did not. But if you have not signed up for a tour, at least take the elevator to the 12th floor and look at Stockton from a different view. It's beautiful out there. It's a beautiful community. So that's about the extent of my 37 pages. Thank you. Welcome to Stockton.
Thank you, Judge Alva. Now it's my turn. I promise I'll be brief. I would like to thank all of our judicial officers, our administrative staff, our managers, supervisors, and all of our staff. It was all of you who kept this court moving along while I spent many, many hours on this project. Everyone at all court locations has been amazing, and we truly have amazing judicial officers and amazing staff at this court. Give yourself applause. The move. When we moved. When you think about what this court did over one weekend, we moved 26 judicial officers, about 250 staff, and countless numbers of files and boxes. Our IT staff, led by An Tran, were amazing getting our infrastructure ready and setting up over 400 computers. Our business services and facilities staff, led by James Forshoot, also did an amazing job in getting us ready to move and the actual move. James and Sean Wilder and his staff continue to field calls and to report and fix problems we may be having in our new courthouse. Judge Alva, thank you for being the leader you have been. You acted and assisted when needed and was willing to put yourself at risk. Thankfully, we didn't need you to do that. Judge Apple, thank you for your leadership all these years. but don't think you're done yet. You know, we've got one more project on the horizon, though I don't think either one of us will have a project quite this big again. You have led our court admirably throughout the years, especially through the challenges this new courthouse provided. There were delays, changes in policies, which led to changes in plans, which caused more delays, and the list goes on and on. Throughout, you were steadfast and unwavering in your dedication to this project and our court. Thank you, and thank you. I'd also like to thank Judge Apple's husband, Jim Morris, for all the times you shared her with me when we had work to do that had to be done outside of regular business hours because there just wasn't enough time in the day. Thank you. I'd also like to thank my husband, John. I'm getting emotional too. How did that happen? And my daughters, Christina and Sabrina. John and my daughters know just about as much of this project than anyone, as they have had to live with me talking about it for the last 14 years. Not too long ago, a friend asked me about the new courthouse in just a casual conversation. And my daughter said, "Oh no, you had to ask." Thank you, John and girls, for your patience and understanding. Finally, I want to say that this courthouse for me has truly been a labor of love. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not just for me, for having the privilege of working on this project, but for all of us who work here and for the citizens of San Joaquin County. For we all get to work and enjoy a new, safer, more secure, functional, and beautiful courthouse, a building that we can all be proud of. Thank you. That concludes our ceremony. Have some light refreshments on the second floor, just up past the escalators, and they will be turned on momentarily. For those of you who have signed up for a 3 p.m. tour, we will still do those tours. Please go to the lobby near the check-in table, and you will be assigned a tour guide. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and have a great afternoon.